I feel extremely honored to have such a great opportunity for being a part of today's National Conference on Blending Education with Advanced Technology for Effective Teaching. I have Shakhan, take this privilege to warmly welcome you all in the second session of this conference. Blending education with advanced technology learning for young teachers is hugely beneficial in addition to improved teaching skills and positive attitude. Create awareness of society for active engagement, new competencies, and confidence to play a part. With a view to focusing on these many aspects concerning the blending education with advanced technology for effective teaching, Prerna College of Commerce organizes 2 days conference in which we have eminent dignitaries with us today. We are lucky to have a prolific, honorable resource person, Dr. Dilip Bharat, and chairperson, Dr. Swati Chandurkar, with us. Before we proceed further, I want to convey a message received from Dr. Praveen Joshi sir that he is unable to attend the session because he has undergone through the dental surgery. On behalf of Dr. Praveen Joshi sir, I am reading his message that he has given to his friends. Dear friends, I feel extremely sorry that I'm unable to join you since I had to undergo dental surgery last evening. I offer my sincere apology, miss you very much, but can't help. Thank you very much that you have accepted my request and join us as a resource person and moderators. Thank you once again. Kindly carry on the conference. It was the message given by Joshi sir, and let me continue and proceed further. So let me have privilege to introduce today's resource person, Dr. Dilip Bharat. Dr. Dilip Bharat is the Dean, Faculty of Arts at MK Bhavnagar University, Gujarat. He has been teaching English for last 23 years and presently he is a member of Executive Council at MK Bhavnagar University. He is also a board member of Studies English at MK Bhavnagar University. He is the board member of PG Teaching and Research at MK Bhavnagar. He has delivered dozens of lectures as a chief guest in various institutions. He has also made special contribution to increase teaching writing skills and creative writing through ICT by conducting many teachers training and workshops. He has published more than 20 research papers in different national and international journals. He is a research guide for MPhil and PhD degree. It's really an honor to have such a remarkable personality with us today. I would like to thank you, sir, for taking the time out of your busy schedule. Heartily
Thanks a lot.
thank you, sir. Moving next, it's really being an honor to introduce an extremely dynamic and distinguished personality and chairperson of today's session, Dr. Swati Chandurkar. She is professor and head department of English, Government PG College, Narsinghpur, MP. She is a research guide to RDVV Jabalpur since last 12 years. She has specialization in Indian writings. I'm honored to say that she travels pan India to deliver lectures as a motivational speaker. She has published more than 30 research papers in national and international journals. She has also made special contribution as a firm believer in gender empowerment, works as a activist through NGOs. She is a former director of MHRD Initiative, Government of India for Female Literacy. Now, I request Dr. Dilip Bharat to please enlighten us with his talk on blending teaching with technology and kindly proceed for the session. Over to you,
A
sir.
lot. Thanks for your
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, thanks for your introduction, and also giving this opportunity in this national conference to have interaction with all the teachers and other resource persons.
Yes, sir, it's
Uh,
our privilege.
yeah. A slight correction. I am a former dean and former executive council member. Maybe in my CV still it is not corrected, so that CV might have been sent. But I am
Yes,
now
sir.
a former dean and former executive
I have
council
taken
member.
your profile in your CV.
Yeah, okay. No,
Yes, sir.
no issues. Yeah, but I need to correct so that the
Okay,
things
sir.
do not go in a wrong way, or the things are not miscommunicated.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, good morning, everybody. My session was supposed to be after 12:30, but it is preponed owing to some illness of some other resource persons. Last night I sent one email with a link to everybody, and I asked that spare some time to fill that survey form. Also at 11 around in the chat also, which was also suggested and announced by Ms. Neha also to fill the form. So first we will see that what I am planning in this session here, what I want to in the first part, I would like to have a look at the survey initially, that what is the outcome of our survey that we are planning to, that which is shared in advance with all the participants, and what can we learn from learn as a teacher from our own survey feedback, what lessons can we learn, because we want to look at blended teaching and learning. So that it also will be a kind of we can say need analysis. It can be considered as a sort of need analysis also. Second point I would like to uh, uh, talk about is UGC concept note. Recently being circulated by UGC with all the teachers and institutes. Third point, very briefly, I would like to touch upon is sharing personal experience. My personal experience as somewhere where I practice blended learning and what tools I am using for that. And finally, I would like to say that the ultimate outcome of what we call it as blended learning or flip learning or any use of technology in our teaching and learning should be in form of digital portfolio of students, digital portfolio of students. That is what we plan. So in this four aspects, and I have planned to talk with all the participants here. So coming to the first part, the first part is the survey, and I got some 100 email IDs, and I sent that link to everybody also. Let me share the screen that what responses we have received from the survey. So up till today morning, it was 6 to 7 responses, but now we have 12 responses. This survey is for we can call it as the networked teacher, and in that context, I'm asking something. Well, it is not only to ask and to know, but it also is designed as a kind of a self-learning for all the teachers in this era. If we consider ourselves as a fit teacher for a digital world, if I consider myself as a fit teacher in this 21st century, and this is even beyond pandemic time. Pandemic time has obviously nudged us, or we can say forced us, or thrown us into this whirlpool of blended learning and flipped learning and using digital platforms for all those things. We are forced, but this is even irrespective of pandemic time. It can be a kind of a test, my fitness test, fitness in terms of to what extent I am a digital teacher, or even if not digital, how am I fit for teaching a profession in 21st century. So that way this is designed, and there are some questions which are asked, which are based from one very interesting research output. And that chart we have given here, this is the chart that we have put here by Burbard Bull. From the work done by Burbard Bull, we have taken this chart, online personal teaching network, it is known as, and what things in 21st century teachers are supposed to do at whatever level, at a beginner level or at an intermediary level, whatever level we can think of. Again, I make a point that this is not a post-pandemic thing. This is pre-pandemic things. In pandemic time, we have realized that these things are very important. Some of us were doing and many of us, which is mentioned in this, and based on this chart, I have prepared a questionnaire, and the questionnaire is circulated, was circulated with everybody. Now, one point, we received 12 responses right now. 100 we sent, around 100, and we have, for example, right now here 66, so around 60 participants. Or maybe some of the people might be the administrator, resource person, then we can say 50, 55 participants are there. Now, if we see percentage, that 100 we are sending, 50 are participating, and 12 are responding, and 12 are responding. So we can say that the people who are present here, out of that, 20% of them have responded to this Google form. The others have not responded. So that also can be one interesting point to note, that why are we not responding to such kind of things? And my point is that why are we not interactive? As a teacher, if I am not interactive on digital platforms, how can I expect my students to be interactive? Overnight, how my students will become, because they will see me and learn from me. That is what Lev Vygotsky, Russian psychologist, have said, and whose constructivism is the base of digital pedagogy, constructivism by Lev Vygotsky. And that is what it says, that people learn from what environment they are in. We construct our knowledge from an environment, and teacher is the source. Teacher is the source from where we keep on learning our things there. So if teacher is not utilizing digital tools in a proper way, and what do we mean by appropriate utilization of digital tools, is all this thing, checking emails, responding whenever it is asked. That is what we are going to expect from our students, that you will have to respond. And if you do not respond, then one of the major problems that we have faced in pandemic time, which everybody is complaining, is about engagement of learners. We are not able to engage our learners in a meaningful way. And so most of the teachers are also frustrated that why my students are not getting engaged. In physical classroom, I was able to do magic in my class, but in online classroom, I'm not able to do. Somewhere the problem also lies with the attitude and aptitude or our approach as a teacher towards the thing. And one of the examples we are getting here also in this survey form. Well, then we move on to the survey form, and I'm very thankful to all the participants who responded. Yeah, Verma, I don't get the full name, so I'm just putting the surname. It is surname here. Prashant, Chaitali, Yogesh, Chandrasekhar, Dr. Nisha, Dr. Akhilesh, Vidya, Dr. Manjari. Thank you for giving your responses, and a few others are also there. Mr. Rahul, Dr. Anjali, Bhagyashree also, those who have responded this. And we expect, this is how all teachers should be responding. Let me skip the gender and other parts. Right now, let us save our time from all those things, the state and other things from where you all belong to. Yeah. Okay. Coming to this point, infographic of building this teacher and mentoring online. Obviously, the last point has 66%, and now almost everybody, all of you must be conducting online courses, because it was necessary, it was vital. So we can say 100% are doing that now. Yes. Do you create YouTube video? That is a very major or very important question here, and it is good to see 4 of you said yes. 44% from the response that we have received is a good sign. Is a good sign. Obviously, it should be 100% in post-pandemic time. It should be 100%, but 44 is a good rise from pre-pandemic time, where it was hardly 5 or 10% earlier. Okay, let me skip. I'm not going through everything that is given there. Creating and sharing online. Okay, many of you are creating tutorials, online tutorials. Online web resources, collecting and curating web resources. Yeah, tweet resource one, share Diigo links and create and share annotated bibliographies one. Okay, fine. Host and help online. I'm skipping this part right now. Write and publish online journals. Obviously, most of you might be doing, even if you're not responded here. Blog, guest blog or not, that is something that is very interesting, but not done by many. Okay. Do you have a blog? Let us come to straight away questions from that chart. And 90% said no. 90%, those who responded here. And if we take this as a sample of the entire group, because the others have not responded, so let us move in that way. That is how normally we move in our surveys, survey-based researches. Also, 10% said yes, and then it was asked, give the URL of the blog. But in URL, I have not received any link. Now it means that none of you have a blog. If one person has said yes, you should have given the link also, but link is not there. So blog, we may say nobody is having a blog, a teacher blog. Then website also in URL there is no response, so we can say again no. So nobody is having a website. There is teacher's website for material sharing. Yeah. Do you have a YouTube? Okay, fine. This we see here 3 of you have, and we got some link also. One link, at least one link is given. So let us say that if not 3, at least one person has got a YouTube, because only one, we require proof. We live in a post-truth era where without evidence we can't believe into anything. So whenever these things are asked, when I say yes, the link should be ready to share that this is what is my my link here. Okay, then if you are a teacher, and which of the following digital platform do you use for teaching online or face-to-face or in blended mode? And most of you said Google Classroom. So 71% is using Google Classroom, Moodle, and Blackboard Learn. Okay, this is are the tools there. Classroom maximum, and then which web conferencing or video calling platform is used? Meet maximum 81%, and Zoom. 2 of you are using Zoom also. And do you share material either in online mode or face-to-face or this? Okay, most of you said yes, only one said no. I think most of the teachers might be doing sharing of a material in one or the other forms. Okay. How do you share your material? Which digital mode you are using, digital platform? And we are getting WhatsApp group maximum here, Google Drive 50%, and email group or through email 10% is saying this. Do you conduct online tests? And well, most of you said yes, 90%. And then it was, what are you using? Which platform are you using for this? And 100% says Google quiz form, on which we are also working right now. This. Okay, so this is our first part of looking at the survey and the responses that we have received. Now, what we can conclude from this, what we need to conclude, or we can say here, is that we need our teachers to have YouTube channel or any platform where they should be able to share video resources. Either the videos prepared by others or prepared by them, preferably prepared by them. Their own online classes might be recorded and shared via either YouTube or whatever platform. It can be Drive also, if teachers don't want to keep their resources publicly available, then also they can try it out and make any kinds of Dropbox or Drive things, and can be accessible only to their own students only. Obviously, we also have to learn that we have to create material which is freely available under OER, Open Educational Resources, what we are supposed to create. Creative Commons license, another thing, because we use lots of material from internet resources which is freely available, and so many people have uploaded those things. So we should not only be downloaders, we should be uploaders also. And many times I tell this to many teachers and students also, that at least upload 10% of what you are downloading. At least give something back to internet also. Don't only go and take from internet, give something back to internet also. So that is also the way that we can look at this. So one, and then second, very important is this: teachers are not having their own platform to share material. Now this is very alarming. All teachers should have their own platform, digital platform, to share their own study material, their own presence also. We all are supposed to have our own digital presence in this digital society. And we are the teachers are the mashalji, we are the torch bearers who are going to teach the new generation that how to be a digital citizen. So our presence as a digital citizen on digital platform is very much necessary. And a simple thing is that how can I judge that whether I am having a digital presence or not? Am I a digital citizen or not? One of the best thing is to see that you are Googleable. What is important is you are Googleable. I'm not able to read there. The session is going on right now. So yeah, not afterwards, after 1 hour. Yeah, okay, so some students are there to ask for something. Okay, sorry for the disruption. So this, am I Googleable? When I Google myself, what do I find on internet about me? What do I find? Is my academic profile, my academic work, my video resources, my presentations available online or not? That is something as a parameter we can use. So from this survey, couple of things we'll learn. And without this, that teachers not having their blogs for their academic purpose, or website, or YouTube channel, now then we can't imagine of having a blended learning, or even using advanced technology. Advanced technology is still far off. Like we had a session on artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence will not be controlled by us as a teacher. There will be software engineers, but these are the tools like blogs, websites, YouTube, which are under our control. We can control those things. Many of you might say that, well, our institute has got a website, so we are uploading through institute. That is fine, good. Institutes may have a Moodle platform. Institutes may have a Google education platform or other personalized website, and you may be using that. But still, I believe that even with that possibility of your institute providing all those things, you should still have your own digital presence, your own space, either in form of blogs or websites or YouTube channel or any other things where you are still in control of your material. See, many times, like for example, whenever I have to rely on institutional website, I always find that when I send them some material that this is to be uploaded, they will take either 1 day or 2-3 days. If there are holidays, then it will be uploaded only on Monday. But I want that work to reach to our students immediately. It should reach to our student. That is what I want in that there. But then that can happen only if it is in my control. Midnight also I can do that. Early in the morning also, offline. So this is that how do I break? How do I break the barriers of time and space? Time and space. Digital technologies help us in breaking the barriers of time and space. That am I able to do or not? That is also very important here. So without this, it will be very difficult to jump over to what UGC is trying to say, or UGC's concept note, which we want to overview very quickly, which is a very interesting document. And if you read that document, you don't have to do anything to know about what is blended mode of teaching and learning. It is very well prepared, very well prepared, and it is including almost everything about digital blended mode of teaching and learning. So, quick overview we are going to do about that. But my concern is this. My concern is this, that if our teachers are still not ready for this digital era. We are in the 21st century of 21st year of 21st century now. We are in the 21st year of the 21st century. So in that capacity, then what UGC is planning, or whatever as a nation, what Indian education system is planning to have a leap, to have a jump towards a kind of world universities, international universities, which I think will be very difficult to reach. It may still take lots of time, maybe, but we still have to wait for the new generation to come into the education system. Then only perhaps that leap we may be able to take to get the maximum benefit of the digital society, digital era, the 21st century in which we are living. So let us overview very quickly what are the interest in this. Blended mode of teaching and learning, a concept note is given, which helps all those teachers who are still novice, or still they want to implement blended mode but are not able to understand in clarity what all these things are. So obviously it speaks about instructional methodology, pedagogy, which is very important to be kept in mind. Not only technology but also pedagogy, which is very important. Face-to-face teaching learning is very important. It is tried and tested for centuries. It is nearly impossible that we can completely replace face-to-face and yet get the result which we are getting in face-to-face. So we need to blend face-to-face with online activities and the integration of synchronous and asynchronous learning tools. Need for flexibility also is explained, that why we need to do this, because we have to be and learner center, and our students and learners are also supposed to work. They are also supposed to work in an environment, in a life, in a society where there is lots of technology there. So are we preparing our learners for that world, or still we are preparing our students for 20th century instead of them for 21st century? So the transformation which is required as a learning tool, or the skills, job skills, or working skills in any space, that also is necessary to be seen here. It also speaks about this academic credit. It speaks about, which obviously is not well directly connected here, but if we want academic bank of credit, and we want to give lots of empowerment to our students and freedom to our students, and also lots of choices of changing from one subject to another subject, from one college to another college, and a kind of thing that we only can imagine as of now, very difficult to implement. That is possible if we implement blended learning and we switch over at least 40% of our course content in online mode and 60% in face-to-face mode. If that blend, which is suggested here, 60-40, then perhaps it can be still possible, but it is still a very distant dream to achieve as such. Second chapter speaks about theoretical background about blended learning. So it speaks about pedagogical aspects which are necessary to be done. Important features of blended learning: increased student engagement in learning, enhanced teacher and student interaction, responsibility of learner, time management, flexibility. Lots of these things are very important to be understood by both a teacher as well as a learner. The recent research identifies following key benefits of blended learning. So It gives an opportunity for collaboration at a distance. Students among themselves, teacher, student, lots of collaboration can happen. Most of you are well aware about Drive, Google Drive. And we know that Google Drive is not only for storing material, it is collaborative. And those who are using collaborative features of Google Drive, you know that it is such a magnificent thing to work collectively from remote places with everybody. So increased flexibility, increased interaction, enhanced learning, learning to be virtual citizens, as we said earlier today, making blended learning work, technology integration with our face-to-face mode also. Role of teacher, which is very important here, as we have said that in the very first test of survey, we again were questioning the same thing, that how ready are we as teachers for the blended mode of teaching or learning. So teachers' role is very important in this. They have to understand the pedagogical implications of all this thing. It is not just to come online and talk like I am doing here right now, but I have to share something in advance. So I sent a kind of a form in advance with everybody that I can start some discussion with this, or those who have gone through the form, you are mentally ready for what discussion we are going to do. And you can also be ready with questions also. You can, and then we can do lots of interaction. Instead of I just talking here, if you ask me based on my survey and then we move on, then our session can be more interactive also. Yeah, but the learner's role also is very important. Student have to be more responsible in this thing. And they have to be more focused also, because technology comes with lots of digressions, and in this to be connected. Because when we have asked our students that you feel about this, so they said that these notifications are very naughty. This notification. So when you are attending a class, suddenly a notification comes, and then you go to read the notification and you start chatting with somebody or start doing something else. So these are some of those problems. That's why now many schools, they go for tablets which are dedicated for learning only. There is no WhatsApp, there is no other social media, so no disturbance of notifications which keeps on beeping while the sessions are going on. Student autonomy, self-advocacy, student ownership. That is what is digital portfolio when we reach at that point in this blended learning. So these are those things prepare students for future. Blended learning offers a multitude of real-world skills that directly translates into life skills, research skills, self-learning, self-engagement, helps to develop a self-driving force, better decision-making, offers a large sense of responsibility, and obviously much needed computer literacy also. So these are the points which it speaks about this blending face-to-face, pedagogical implications online, and how flipped learning can be done, rotational models. Several models of blended learning are also discussed here, and we can think of our own mode of blending our sessions also. I skip this part. This is very interesting part that they have given, scenarios in blended learning. And here they say that if you are having a one program of so and so credit, and this many hours you need to teach, for example 80 credit of master's program, and then this is your subject content, where in all you have to teach for say around 300 hours. 300 hours of teaching is necessary for your one course. Then you can divide those 300 hours into 150 hours online, 150 face-to-face, or whatever are your needs, in that way. And they have given several examples that you can either try like this. Teacher 1 is trying 50%, teacher 2 is dividing 30 hours for this and 30 hours for classroom interactions. Teacher C is trying something else, he is offering MOOC program, massive online open courses. Teacher also is joining the course, so he also can submit the assignments along with students, and parallel along with the the MOOCs, students are still doing their regular assignment submission and other things also. And the teacher D wants to do lots of lab work and other things, so how it can plan. So 4 modules are given, that how 300 hours of direct teaching can be divided it is very flexible. Teachers are deciding things for their own. Flexible mode is suggested here. So these are some of the examples, and this is about training program that is good. I'm skipping this part right now. Third chapter is about ICT initiatives and tools. That is what this title of this our national conference is also, Advanced Technology for Blended Learning. So in this document, concept note by UGC, they have suggested a couple of things. OER, as we referred early today, from there to MOOCs, and Swayam is the platform of MHRD, which is offering many online courses. Many of you might have done a couple of courses also. Then LMS and CMS, which they are speaking about. So they have suggested some names like Moodle, Google Classroom. These are open source and open and free. Several names are also given, and you can try it out. And whichever is suitable in your environment to your students and your teacher, we can work it out on that. What is working for us is Google. Google is working a lot for us. So in our environment, in our teaching learning environment, we, after trying several tools for learning management system, for content management system, for online test, for live interaction, we have narrowed down to Google Education Tools. As a university, we have got free access to Google Education Tools. And so for our interaction on digital platform, it is Google Classroom that we use. Today morning, there was some interaction going on where I think Tejaswini madam was talking about the point that descriptive answers and how to evaluate with the help of technology. If we use rubric in Google Classroom, then we still can do something. It will not be completely automatic evaluation of essay type answers, but rubric based assessment in Google Classroom is possible in that context also. So Google Classroom, Google Groups for email communications we use, Google Meet now we use for live interaction, as we are also doing that. So all Google, and Blogger for that also is owned by Google. Google Sites for teachers' websites and digital portfolio, Google Sites, and YouTube also is owned by Google. So with one email ID and one password, you operate all the tools which are necessary for blended learning as well as flipped learning also. So in this concept note, going to the final part of the concept note, after these tools and other things which are mentioned here, even very advanced level, some of the apps are also mentioned here, which can be useful to science teachers, engineering teachers, and those who require lab or simulations of high level, animations and simulations of high level. For them also, the things are given here. The final part of this document speaks about assessment and evaluation, which is very important in blended mode. In assessment and evaluation part, final chapter, assessment and evaluation. So here again teachers will have to think innovative ways of doing several things, and continuous comprehensive evaluation is very much necessary. So at the end of all the units, teachers will have to give some kinds of online test to students and some kind of writing things, and those things are evaluated at one platform where automatically result is generated, and teachers and students keeping a watch that how many students submitted, how many are remaining, and what is the performance in terms of tangible marks. And that is where AI will work. Artificial intelligence will do the work. So teachers will not have to do all those calculations, but automatically it all will be taken care of. So this, and then we have this thing, summative assessment and formative assessment. Summative assessment and formative assessment. Now, in technology integrated environment, what is important is formative assessment. For summative assessment, we can think of open book exam, open internet exam also now we can think of, or group examinations also, like in the lab environment, spoken speaking or on-demand exam, that all can be thought of. What I am interested more here is in formative evaluation strategies, and that is where this e-portfolio or digital portfolio becomes very interesting. And if this is because formative assessment is to improve the quality of learners, summative is to judge Summative assessment is to judge that, well, you are first class student, you are second class student. Formative is a continuous process where student constantly keep on watching that, am I growing or not? Am I learning or not? What are the problems? Again, let me refer to what Tejasvi madam referred in the last concluding remark, that when you give an online test, at that time you also come to know that which question was difficult to the learners. So you can do a little bit of revision in that also. That is where formative evaluation. So the tests which are given as a part of formative assessment, they are not burdensome. Test is a learning tool. Test is a teaching tool. Test is not an assessment tool here. That this difference is very important to be kept in mind when we work on these platforms also. So this was this concept, second part of what I wanted to say. And sharing a personal experience, I would like to show some of the videos, and along with that, let me see that how we move on. In background, I will keep on talking about it also. When we try flipped learning, our major concern in flipped learning is search for questions, quest for questions. What we are lacking as a part of engagement in learning in our environment is this point, that students are not asking anything. They are not engaging. They are not getting involved with our learning. So our main quest is about questions, that how our students can keep on asking questions, and that is where flipped learning helps a lot. But while planning a flipped learning, we have to think of something in this flipped learning environment, that what we are planning to do and how we can do. Instead of questions by teachers, let there be questions from students and answers from teachers. How we can do this? So teacher will prepare video resources, or through blog, it will share the material in advance and ask students to watch videos, read PDF, PPTs, whatever they have given, and when they come in the class, after watching this or doing their activities in their own different environments, the students will come and put their questions on the blackboard or whiteboard or green board. So all students will come with questions, and these questions are coming out of reading, watching the material which was shared in advance there. And all these questions which are put by students on the board, they are one by one addressed by teacher in the classroom. So what we are looking for, that students are not engaging themselves in the learning environment. That is possible here. Now this was pre-pandemic time, so we were able to have a classroom environment, and without social distancing, without mask, we can assemble. Now we have switched over this activity on Google Classroom. So now students are asking questions in Google Classroom as a part of a comment, and those questions again are open to everybody. So questions cannot be repeated. Somebody has asked the question, so other student can avoid asking the same question also. So flipping the classroom, but for what purpose? Our purpose is to engage our learners, involve our learners. One way of engaging is that asking them that your task is to ask questions. Watch this, read this, and then come with questions in the classroom, and then it becomes very interesting to see also. Our students, we can give various environments to students. These are pre-pandemic time where students might be working in different ways. In small groups they can work. They want to be isolated learner, they can be isolated learner also. If they want to work with other people, they can work with other people also. So you give flexible environment. A flexible environment is given to the learners. In either they are taking open internet test, in that also they are free to work either in group or isolated learner, whatever way it is convenient to their personality type. So that flexibility as a learner is very important, where the technology allows us to give those things. So this can be classroom converted into lab, and then the students are their class taking test or doing various activities with the help of video resources which are prepared by teacher and shared with all the students also. So in Okay, by mistake I have stopped sharing. Yeah. This was some of the outcome of those flipping the things there. So students in this flipped or blended learning mode in the classroom, they can keep their mobile on, internet connected, laptop also they can keep, and whatever way the interactions are going on, where the teacher is asking questions, free. They are free to take help of Google or mobile phone or other things to give their response. That engagement is what we are looking for. One of the very important thing that we have seen in this time was about teachers having one of the problems about using Blackboard in technological time, in this pandemic time. And so they said that, well, we can only talk, but board work is very important. Board work is very, and how can we do? So we worked out on this glass board and prepare this this small studio in our lab where teachers can teach through Glassboard, and student on the other side will feel the experience as if teacher is really teaching with the help of Glassboard or Blackboard, which is a very important tool. PowerPoint is very good, but at the same time, Blackboard has its own advantages. And how we can give the benefit of this also a simple technology. This is not a very advanced technology where it requires lots of money or high software, the thing. It is just in 4,000-5,000 rupees. It is homemade, a homemade kind of a thing that anybody can prepare this kind of glass, and it can be very interestingly used with the help of a camera or digital viewer in this, and we can get a very interesting result. A very interesting result we can get when we are teaching with through the Glassboard. So this is one of the video where you see the end result of how it looks to the learner, either it is on Meet or Zoom or pre-recorded video, where they can utilize this technology also to make their teaching very interesting. See, this is a very interesting way of blending our classroom experience as a teacher, and students are online, but students still will feel as if they are in the classroom. Teacher is very much standing before us and using Blackboard in the classroom, and it gives a very interesting feel of a hybrid classroom environment also. Yeah? So this is the thing, and I think we are running out of time. Can anybody tell me whether, because the chairperson also will speak something. So my final point was about digital portfolio, but well, it depends upon the time that we have or not. Yes, Neha madam.
So you can take your time.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. So 5 minutes. Let me take 5 more minutes. So what we have planned when we think of this platform and other things, how we worked on this reaching to digital portfolio, how we try to work on this platform. So as we said, all teachers will have to think of their own structures in one or the another ways. We worked on this idea that first important part is about digital communication links. Digital communication links is very important. So on which digital communication links are you to work with students? That is very important, and we decided to work with Google Group. Obviously WhatsApp also is there, but WhatsApp is still so far as privacy of the learner is concerned, Google Group is more better than the other things there. Then the another important point in this was deciding on LMS and CMS, that is learning management system and content management system. So for this we went for teacher blog, sites by teacher. We can say YouTube also now, because it also stores our video resources. Drive to store the material and this, so learning this, and ultimately we worked on Google Classroom for this stage here. Then what was required was virtual classroom, virtual class, that is, we can say online class. So obviously Meet right now, Meet is something that is very useful, and we are working on this for virtual classroom here. Then what was required was a kind of a digital resource, video resources. Video resources. And for video resources, teachers' YouTube channel or Drive were used, and most of the online sessions were recorded and uploaded. So those students who remain absent or later on when they want to access, they can use these video resources. And finally, and the most important part at the top of this pyramid is assessment. Is assessment and evaluation. Obviously, open internet is what we supported, or group activity, open internet or group way that they are supposed to work. And for that, we try to use Google quiz form by and large in this. So in all these things, this becomes our pyramid for blended or flipped learning, where digital communication links, learning management system, virtual classroom, video resources, and assessment and evaluation this. Now, whatever technology you want to use, our framework should be very clear. What is important is our framework. So this is the framework for blending our class, and then you can either go for Google or Microsoft or Blackboard or whatever is convenient. If you are very rich enough, your institute is good, then you can go for Microsoft or Blackboard or many other advanced version also. Otherwise, Google is good. Otherwise, Google is quite good for us in looking at this aspect there. Now, when we use all these things, Google and Google Classroom and other things, what we get at the end of working on all these things is this. I'm just showing you one of our classroom, one of our classroom I am showing in Google. And here what is important is this grades, this last point, grades. And when you click on grades, you come to know that what tasks were given to students and what are their scorings, where do they stand. For example, this student is 86%, this is 90, 78. So that is their overall performance. In all these things, how they are evaluated, what points they have scored, either it is online test or even descriptive writing, thinking activities, their presentations, oral presentations, everything is evaluated with the help of rubric in Google Classroom, and this way we get their grades. And ultimately, whatever work they are doing, whatever work students are doing is then going to their digital. It is going to their digital portfolio. And for almost last 10 years now, we are using this as a project blended learning in our institute. And we have digital portfolios, or all the work that students have generated in the classroom, produced in the classroom. All those things are recorded for last 10 years. You can click any of this batch and you can open the website. This website, you will come to this website. Let me just share a link of this in the chat, that later on, if you just want to go through the work, if you are interested in making your blended digital or the use of technology to reach at a level where students are in their own digital portfolio, which is considered as the final outcome of assessment and evaluation techniques or strategies in this. So you can come here and you can see anybody's portfolio, and you can click and see that how they have prepared their Google site, students having their website, and on that you will find all their work, all the work that they have done during their master's studies are uploaded on this. So when they make their presentations in the in the cloud of that all is recorded, and they all upload the things in this way, that whatever work they have done, that all becomes a part of this. So their videos, their blogs, students blogs, their assignments, everything becomes a part of their working and their videos and other things that they have done. So they upload the things on their own blogs and Google site that what kind of presentations they were making. This were done during pandemic time, so this was done online, in online mode. Otherwise, even in the offline mode, we used to do recording of the video resources, which are also uploaded by the students on their various platforms also. For example, these are the videos of their presentations which are made in a normal time, in normal times also. So digitally everything is documented. You document digitally everything. It is given to students. Students are evaluated, and then they keep on looking at their own performance, that what kind of presentations they were making earlier in previous semester, where they need to improve. So there are lots of chance of self-improvement, self-learning also in this. This is the example of the students' digital portfolios, which they work, and batch-wise you can find of how students are working on this. So that is what we tend to see, that ultimately our attempts at utilizing technology in classroom, teachers attempt or students attempt, should not be wasted away, should not be wasted, it should not be thrown into dustbin, but it should be archived and curated at one platform where students can carry it lifelong with them. They become owner of their learning, they become owner of their, that it should be a kind of a goal of blending technology with our traditional classroom. So that is where I end my talk here. Thank you everybody for your patience listening. Thank you.
Bharat sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for such a wonderful and informative session you have. Explain everything in a very lucid manner. I am sure that your talk will immensely benefit each one of us. But Dilip
Bharat
sir,
sir,
I think Paul sir want to say
I want
something.
to talk to Bharat sir.
Yeah, sure.
Are you hearing me, Bharat sir?
Yes, I am hearing. Yeah, go on, Mr.
You
Basudev.
are intellectually so superpower, it is going overhead. Now the question arises, how far should we go down the students level? What you are teaching is very, very superbly beautiful. We are also learning and we want to learn. But if this is meant for the urbanized institutions, it's okay. But what about the students hailing from the remotest area of India? The way you are teaching, you are telling, very nice. And as a student of literature, I have little knowledge in computer. But while doing the NAC as a coordinator, I have realized until and unless we know something about the computer literacy and ICT initiatives, nothing could be done.
Yeah.
One should have a clear knowledge in computer, otherwise the world appears bleak and sacrificed to people like us. So you are taking in a very, very effective way, but we want to learn more. And we should go down to the students level, sir. This is my say and my request. We say generally we teachers don't go to the students level. We should understand the level of the students. Then only our endeavor will be successful. Otherwise, what is the use of reclamation? You see, this type of conference is being held all over the world. But how many students are participating? We have got job. We have nothing to get new. But we should look for the students' benefit only. So how to drag them from the remotest area and make them digitally aware? That is most important, I think. Thank you very much, sir. I am learning, and what you are telling me, going over it.
Yes, no, that is true. And let me add that I always go for the demography of our students every time. From where are they coming? And 80% of our students are coming from rural areas, from villages, and almost 80 to 85% are girls. And you can imagine, for girls to use technology in a rural space is so difficult, and those difficulties are faced by our students also. And that's why before 2016, that before Jio revolution, before Reliance Jio network 4G, we used to have a laptop bank here in our department, and we have to give technology also and internet also. So we were giving because students were not having anything, but we told that, well, you just spare your time, come here on holidays, come on holidays and use our laptops, use our internet, but you have to learn. That is very important. You can't excuse yourself by saying that you are coming from village, you are coming from rural area. Don't use that as an excuse. You have an opportunity to learn. Don't miss that opportunity. But now I have seen in last 4 or 5 years that students are having their own internet, because internet is quite cheap nowadays in India, and they are having smartphone also. But still we provide laptops, a limited number of laptops we keep to those students. But all students, they are 80%, and I have seen that many of them are first in their village to reach to university. Entire village, they are first to reach to university. So that village also is still not academically or educationally, we can say, very forward. But as you have very rightly said, that we need to work on all the students who are coming from rural spaces. We need to digitize them. We need to take them. We have to tell them that you will have to do it in this way. Try it and it will happen. Try it and it will happen. When we do online presentations in pandemic time, their voice is breaking, they get disconnected. We have to keep lots of patience. We said, okay, no problem, keep on trying. Find a better space in your home, terrace, wherever you can, but try to do. And when after initial hiccups and problems, when they kept on trying, we get a very good result at the end of the day also.
Thank you so much, Dilip sir and Paul sir also, because it was.
Thank you very much. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Good job.
It's such a wonderful, informative, and interactive session, I think. I'm sure that your talk will
It
immensely
is to be
benefit
interactive,
each.
even in the classroom, in
Yes,
the traditional classroom.
yes, sir. Yeah.
Unless there is no discussion, no, nothing new would come up.
Sure, sir. Thank you. Thank you
Out
so much,
of,
sir.
out of discussion, something new would evolve. That is the end motto of the teachers and students, I think. So,
One second.
thank you, Marat sir.
Thanks a lot.
Svini Patil ma'am,
Yes, yes, yes.
do you want to say something?
Yes. I want
Yes,
to
ma'am,
say.
sure.
I just want to tell Bharat sir that one thing I have learned from this lecture is that up to now we made our students keep their mobiles hidden under the bench, and now we can make them keep them on the desk, move for us, and that will
Yes.
definitely help me to attract students' attention to mobiles and through mobiles to me. So definitely, thank you so much for the wonderful presentation, sir. Thank you.
Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you, ma'am.
Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Now, I request Swati Chandorkar ma'am to kindly proceed for summing up the session and to please share her views with us. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Neha. First, we had a speaker, Dr. Dilip Bharat, who has delivered an edifying presentation and a deliverance. Thank you so much, Dr. Dilip Bharat, sir, for your discourse. Friends, we all are aware of the ashram systems, the Guru Shishya Paramparas, about which we often speak with pride. Then we also have all experienced, today most of the teachers, we all have experienced the chhadi lage chham chham, vidya aaye gham gham kind of an era, where teachers used to dominate the students and teachers were the real terrors. But now, the present scenario, the pandemic, I should say, I do not hesitate to say, thanks to the COVID, in quickly demonstrating why the technology and why the online education should be a vital part of the teaching of the present scenario. By integrating the technology into the existing curricula, as opposed to the using it solely as a crisis management tool, teachers can harness online learning as a powerful educational tool. And this is the discussion we are discussing since yesterday morning. The effective use of digital learning tools in classrooms can certainly increase the students' engagement and help teachers improve their lesson plans and facilitate a personalized learning. And Dr. Dilip Barat has focused on survey that he conducted, the UGC concept note, his personal experiences, and the ultimate outcome of a digital portfolio making. He has raised a very important question, that how fit we the teachers are to face the digital world. He has contributed his survey, and it was very saddening that only 20% responded. I think most of us should have as teachers, but we didn't. And only 20% response has definitely created a line of worry on our foreheads. And this was what Dr. Dilip Barat wanted to address. He has thrown light again on the UGC concept note, and he has expressed his concerns over the teachers getting ready. And we are all preparing ourselves as the teachers and the students to face the 21st century challenges. He focused on learning through one's own models. And he has given us so many examples of the YouTubes, the Google Drive, and so many others. And he has tried, and I'm very happy to share one of the surveys, a built-in survey, which reported that 92% teachers have understood the impact of technology in education. And another, according to a Project Tomorrow survey, the conclusion was that 50% of the students have accepted that digital education tools have helped them with their grades and test scores. This is a very positive sign. So these tools have become so popular that the education technology market is projected to expand by about 342 billions by 2025, according to the World Economic Forum. And through the lecture of Barat, we all are preparing ourselves, I feel, towards the expansion of these digital markets. He has also focused upon his own and through a good presentations, very useful presentations, Dr. Dilip has focused on a blended learning mode. The use of Google Classrooms, how he has used it, Google Meets. It has actually, what I feel, that educational technology can foster collaboration and communication. He has clearly stressed upon the collaboration and communication. And not only can teachers be engaged with students through these lessons, but students can also communicate with each other. They can discuss their problems. Through online classes, Dr. Dilip has clearly stressed that online lessons and learning, students get to work together to solve their problems. In collaborative activities, students can share their thoughts and ideas and support each other simultaneously. At the same time, technology enables one-on-one interaction with the teachers. This is what his videos have shown us. Students can ask classroom-related questions and seek additional help on difficult to understand subject matters, because his videos have shown us that all students have a different pace of catching up. And even his videos have taught us that at home, students can upload their classes and teachers can also access and view completed assignments using their own mobiles or maybe laptops. So he has all, you can say, touched all the blended modes, how we as teachers should develop amongst us as well as with the students. Then speaking in his conclusion about the digital portfolio, he has again stressed upon the use of LMS and CMS and the Google Drive and other things. All to conclude, and looking at the time constraint, what I would say is, through an electrifying lecture of Dr. Dilip Barad, he has taught us to develop essential tools to become the leading leaders of the society. Thank you, Dr. Barad. Thank you for all making us all the leaders of the society through blending the teaching and learning. A very useful lecture by Dr. Barad. And my opinion is about this seminar, about this conference, to conclude, is before thanking the Prerna fraternity, I would just speak in favor of the Prerna fraternity कि केवल हंगामा खड़ा कर देना मेरा मकसद नहीं, बताता हूँ कि ये सूरत बदलनी चाहिए, हो गई है पीर सी यह पर्वत पिघलनी चाहिए, सर तेरे सीने में हो कि मेरे सीने में हो कहीं भी ये आग, मगर ये आग जलनी चाहिए, ये आग जलनी चाहिए. Thank you Prerna for giving me an opportunity to express my comments over such a elaborative and useful conference. Thank you, Dr. Neha, over to you. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks a lot, Swati madam. You have summed up everything in a very, very interesting way. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, and thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your remarkable views with us and summarizing the session in such a lucid manner. Once again, I would like to express a special thanks to you, ma'am, for taking the time out of your busy schedule and accepting our request to moderation of this conference. Thank you so much, ma'am, once again.
Dr. Neha, and I'd really, from the core of my heart, let me thank the Prerna Group, Dr. Praveen Joshi, and the fraternity who has worked on stage and offline stage to make this conference a grand success. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. And I'm sure that the participant must have learned a lot from the talk and must have found it to be the most wonderful session. I must mention, it has been really a wonderful experience to listen both the resource person and the chairperson on this occasion. I'm sure that your talk will immensely benefit all of us. Now, I would also like to express my sincere thanks to Dr. S.A. Gulhane, Secretary of Prerna Seva Mandal, and also Dr. Praveen Joshi, Director, Prerna College of Commerce, for giving us an opportunity to enhance our skills through this. To all the participants and faculty members for joining this session. Now it's a time